Welcome to the Football Fan Show podcast. I'm Danny Harrington, joined by Callum Brown. This week we are discussing Spurs being Spurs, that awful Liverpool performance from the weekend, plus another rant from myself this time about Swindon Town being dreadful, and we'll catch up with some of the other football headlines. We'll chat about England for a little bit. They played Italy and Ukraine during the international break, and we'll finish on some Everton and Manchester United takeover news as well. Right, let's get into it, as I have a rant about the terrible times being had on the pitch at Swindon Town. Are rubbish. I nearly said a rude word there. I'm not allowed to say a rude word anymore because we might be on the radio soon. That's my news. But Hartlepool United 2, Swindon Town 1. Jody Morris is the manager. He has been... Have you ever heard of a man called Jody Morris, Callum?
In passing.
He has been the assistant manager to Frank Lampard at Derby County and Chelsea, which means he's shown sound footballing judgment following a man who can't manage. And it turns out neither can Jody Morris. He can't manage either. I mean, if you took him to a brewery, no one would be drunk. Everyone would go home sober. He is a clown that, I'm the first person to say, give a manager time. And there are times where Swindon have had managers or head coaches that have been like, give him time, and I was wrong to do so. I feel like I'm in the right to say Jody Morris is not a manager. He is a coach or an assistant manager, but he's not the main guy. He's not the guy you put in charge. Get him out now. We lost our manager. Our previous head coach, Scott Lindsay, left us to join the Crypto Bros at Crawley Town. They were in the relegation zone when he took over, and he made the better decision. He made the better decision for him because he saw Swindon going in one direction, and that was down.
Didn't you say, was it not last week before, last time I spoke to you on this, that they were like mid-table?
Yeah.
Where are you now?
And they still are. But we should be up towards the playoffs. We bought in Charlie Austin to get us promoted. He's the only player that's trying.
Not gonna...
Effectively, that's what it is at the moment. It is just Charlie Austin on his own. It's just him on his own. Nobody else. I mean, maybe Johnny Williams.
Anyway, you got to stop conceding goals.
No, we need a manager.
Teams.
We need a manager. We need a manager that doesn't follow Frank Lampard around and thinks Frank Lampard is a good football manager to follow around and be the assistant manager of. Sorry, Scott Lindsay, but out. Get out. Please leave. Accept your resignation. You know what? I've seen you lose. I've seen you nearly burst a blood vessel in the past. So I thought, you know what? I think I tame it down.
But. So you're like the calm one. I'm the one who gets angry. That's how you want to portray us, yeah.
Well, if the shoe fits, so to speak, that's rude. That's rude of me very much. I just, it's not good. I'm the first person to say that I would like managers to stay. I'm the first person to give a manager time. I understand that, and I understand where Swindon Town Football Club are at the moment. They want, and the reason Jody Morris was appointed, they want someone who coaches young players, that knows young Premier League players, that has links to clubs,
brings them in on loan,
and brings them in on loan or signs them on free transfers, trains them up, sells them on, and that's the model they're going for. The Brentford Moneyball approach, except it's not the Brentford Moneyball approach because Brentford actually bought players from the lower leagues instead of trying to sign them on free transfers.
Yeah, that's done well.
So
got promoted with them. With that model.
Yes. Now, I know it's early days at Swindon, but last season we were in the playoffs and we let a head coach, go to the Crypto Bros of Crawley when we were 8th. Now we're 12th. And we can't beat Hartlepool or Rochdale. We drew 4-4 against Rochdale. They are bottom of the Football League. They sacked their manager a week after. We drew 4-4 with a club that was bottom of the Football League.
Well, that proves one point, doesn't it? You can't just rely on scoring loads of goals, Charlie Austin. You've got to stop conceding goals. Otherwise, there's no point in having Charlie Austin there.
Exactly. You know what? Charlie Austin came to us from Brisbane Australia. He was playing in Brisbane, and we were owned by an Australian. I get the feeling that he's not going to like Australians come the end of the season.
Pretty much.
Anyway, if you want to see my absolute love for Swindon Town, you can see our new video on our YouTube channel, which is an update from the previous video, where it says, "Brilliant off the club, brilliant. Off the pitch, brilliant. We just bought the stadium. We're really happy. I'm a part of the Supporters Trust, so I owned like a fraction of a share of the stadium as a member of the Supporters Trust, because the Supporters Trust owned 50% of the stadium. I was given a nice digital certificate as well. It's lovely.
So you might be going down to the National League in your own stadium.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, it's just infuriating. It is. Thing is, just
12th is not relegation.
No, but they're playing like relegated fools. They're playing. Well,
you've still got a couple of. Well, I don't know how many matches you got left, but just got a couple of months left.
Not enough to catch Bradford City, who are 7th, and managed by an ex-Premier League boss, Mark Hughes. We haven't got enough. We haven't got enough time to catch them. So, we're rubbish and we're mediocre, and we've brought in a manager who is a. I know it's April Fool's Day and everything, but this is not a joke. He is a clown and shouldn't be managing any professional football club. Maybe he should be managing like the Tiddlywink side at Chelsea. Maybe the under fives or something like that. Maybe the kids of all the players. Maybe he can manage them, or better yet, be the kit man. Make him the kit man. Overpaid kit man, but still kit man. Do a Ted Lasso. Make the kit man the manager. Swap their positions. Let's just see what happens, because to be honest with you, it's not going well, and I'm not happy, and I don't know anyone that would be in the situation.
You just sound sad, not angry.
You know what? I said that I went into an office earlier at the community radio station I used to volunteer, because I popped my head in just to say hello, and when I left, I went, I'm going to go watch the Swindon match. They're away at Hartlepool. And then I just went, watching Swindon is paramount to torture these days. It's so depressing.
Yep.
So depressing. It's absolutely some of the most depressing rubbish. I can't explain it. My hopes are high, and then every week they just, they were 1-0 up. They were 1-0 up. And then they threw it away.
Hang on, that's exactly us today. I know exactly how you're feeling. I always have high hopes for us, and this season they've just been doused completely. But the problem is that because unfortunately, we'd like to admit, but Liverpool are a bigger club than Swindon.
I mean, you won't get any argument from me. Although I will add, Swindon Town are the greatest team to wear red north of Barcelona.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
We've had this argument lots and lots of times. They're just
all right. I agree. It's Barnsley. Right, let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, back to your point.
No, I was just saying, we were 1-0 up, and we threw it all away within a minute of the second half. So I know all about Bottle Job United. That's what we should be called now, Bottle Job FC. So, yeah, in terms of you saying it's hard to explain the depression of watching your team week after week, this season, yeah.
Well, yeah, as a Liverpool fan, I know. But we Swindon had the lead on the 4th minute and then lost it on the 88th minute. And then lost the game on the 94th minute, which was a kick in the you-know-whats, but I can't say that. But yeah.
Can't even say nads?
Now, gonads? Yeah, gonads. Yeah, let's say gonads. That works. You got pegged back within 10 minutes, didn't you? Because
we scored in
Alvarez scored on the 27th, and you scored on the 17th.
We scored. Yeah, we scored and then they scored. And then
you had the lead.
Got into half time 1-1.
De Bruyne.
And then literally within a minute, I said literally, as soon as I saw them score a second, I thought, has Jurgen actually like lulled them to sleep at half time or something? Because they come out and they just can't manage a
Maybe he
game.
was happy. Maybe he was happy with a 1-1 at half time. Maybe he knows his side aren't.
What's the first thing any manager says at half time? Keep it tight for the first 10 minutes. No silly mistakes. Keep it tight. What do they do? Concede just happily within a minute. I stopped watching on the 53rd, I think, 'cause that's when they scored their third. I stopped watching at that point because I thought they've literally just literally down tools at half time. What team does that? But it's not just a one-off. It's consistently week after week after week, every single fucking match. Sorry.
Don't worry.
It's just every week now.
Every week.
I'm like,
every week.
I'm a steward, aren't I? You know I'm a steward at Anfield, right?
Steward at Anfield, yes.
I put myself down to do the Arsenal match next weekend. I want to go to now and say I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I really don't, because I'm just gonna be angry.
See the result. You don't want.
I don't want to think. I've kept myself off Twitter and everything like that because I just don't want to think about the football club anymore.
No.
I don't, because it's this season we're just being bantered that badly because of crap owners. I was going to swear again, but then crap owners.
Well done.
Crap manager. Every single player.
Is Jurgen Klopp a crap manager though, or is he just been dealt
a crap manager?
Has he been dealt a bad hand?
Manager. Well, he's not been given the players. Like, midfield is non-existent. We may as well be playing with 7 men because the 3 in the midfield are just non-existent every single week. The front 3 don't score, and because the midfield's non-existent, the defence gets caught out. I think the only one who can even hold his hand up at the end of the season, no matter where we finish up, the only one who can hold his head up and actually any kind of decency or self-pride or anything is the goalkeeper, because he saved us. We'd be relegated if we didn't have him in goal. And we get bantered so much, and we're just, because people are like, oh, you know what I don't get, Ryan? It's weird, this, and no one's to speak about it with you. I can, when I call up my own players, I feel I can do that because I watch them week after week. When I see other people of other sport and other Premier League clubs calling out their players, I kind of feel like I'm back against the wall and I go, wait, hang on, you can't say nothing. You know, it's kind of weird. Like they shouldn't have the right to call them out, that kind of thing. But So I stopped watching the 53rd, and I thought I'm just not gonna, because we're just getting laughed at. It feels like we're getting laughed at by the Premier League. Every other fan, we're just getting laughed at because we actually just banter. We are the banter club.
Yeah, no, I get you. Once again, apologies for the language used, but it can be passionate. Anyway, we shall move on. Alas, we shall move on. We need to talk about other things like the Klassiker, which happened today. We've got the scoreline from that one. And Thomas Tuchel's first game in charge of Bayern Munich.
What's it end up?
We'll chat about that in a bit.
I know it's time.
Yes, it was quite a good. I believe it finished 4-2 in favour of Bayern. So Thomas Tuchel getting a nice win against his old club. But yes, not the greatest game for Borussia Dortmund, the Klassiker today. But you know, we'll see what happens. Maybe Liverpool missed out on getting Tuchel. They may, you know.
No. Anyway, I'm not buying a B-Tech club.
Shall we take the mick out of another club?
Please.
Yeah, let's talk about Spurs. Spurs, do Spurs. If you're a Spurs fan, 0333 303 4145. Tottenham Hotspur parted company with Antonio Conte. You may think, that happened 2 weeks ago, didn't it? Yes, it did. Well, it feels like it happened 2 weeks ago. Maybe it happened a week ago. But, you know, international breaks and all of that. International breaks are boring. Anyway, Tottenham parted company with Antonio Conte after the Italian slammed his players as selfish. Remember, we played a little bit of that press conference. It was interesting, to say the least, after that 3-3 draw with Southampton. And Antonio Conte's assistant Christian Stellini has been appointed acting head coach for the rest of the season, with Ryan Mason as assistant head coach. They might as well have just appointed Ryan Mason again and let him babysit, as he often does. He was actually linked with a Swindon job. I'd rather have had Ryan Mason than Jody Morris.
Really?
Just saying. At least Ryan Mason played for Swindon. Jody Morris has no link to us at all. Sky in Italy are now reporting that Conte is in Turin with his family and wants his next management job to be in Italy, where his draconian tactics are more accepted.
Draconian,
yes. Well, they're old-fashioned, boring, and why have
the thing is, he did win the league title with Chelsea with those tactics. So
yeah,
I think if the results were going his way, they wouldn't be called draconian.
Yeah, maybe, but no, they play boring football. So why have we need to diagnose? It's not difficult to diagnose this. It's called Spurs syndrome. That's why it's called Spurs syndrome, because it's named after Tottenham Hotspurs. Spurs doing a Spurs. It's just funny, isn't it?
Well, it's normality, isn't it?
If there's one thing we can guarantee, it's Spurs will sack their manager, and then you know what? It's just bizarre, because they go, oh, we've appointed Antonio Conte. He won the league title at Chelsea. Doesn't win anything at Spurs. You know what? The last time they had a chance to win a trophy, Jose Mourinho was in charge. What did they do before the League Cup final? Sacked him.
Yep.
Bayern sacked, what's his name? Who was their previous manager? Who was it? The name escapes me. Yeah, Nagelsmann. Because they feared not winning the treble, so they appointed Tuchel instead.
They might win the treble. Yeah.
Bayern, apparently, but
yeah.
Yeah, so they feared not winning it, so they appointed Tuchel. Apparently, they were concerned by Nagelsmann's relationship with a journalist or something like that, and that was one of the reasons. But anyway, Nagelsmann, by the way, now is being linked with the Tottenham job. Why? Why would anyone take that?
That would be like career suicide.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah. I can't even say Tottenham are like... You know what? They used to be... like, in the early 2010s... Tottenham and Atletico Madrid, I viewed as quite similar, kind of the fifth team of their division. Since then, Atletico have progressed. Tottenham have gone backwards. And that comparison no longer works. So, I suppose Tottenham are like the Real Betis of the Premier League? Real Betis? Is that fair? Or will Real Betis fans go, we're nothing like them? Leave us out of this. Probably the latter there. Yeah, so 60. Well, Sevilla aren't doing too well this season, but at least they've won trophies in the past. Conte had 16 months. Where do you think it went wrong for Conte without mentioning the obvious press conference where he goes, "My players are crap"?
I don't know. I just think his overall. I mean, you could say his overall demeanour if you talk about him specifically, but results, it's a results business. Players not turning up properly. And then people eventually, as we were saying, because it's result business, people then start calling out on his tactics, saying, why is he not changing his tactics? But he has his way of playing, like Mourinho, and it's worked. Yeah. But when it doesn't work, and they don't have a plan B,
it doesn't work outside of Italy. Say.
He's playing Eric Dyer in defence. He's got Richarlison. He's crap. Son hasn't been playing great. Kane still goals, but you can't always rely on score goals. The goalkeeper situation in terms of Lloris has been injured for a while, but he was terrible before he got injured. You've got Fraser Forster, who's just the green giant out of the sweet corn can.
Green
doesn't
giant.
do anything much else. Yeah, literally. Doesn't do anything else. So it's just a number of issues, but he's. I mean, one thing I respect about him is that he's an honest man. He can't hold his tongue. So I think it has come down to that press conference. He's just had enough, and he's gone. You know what? I'm just gonna. Here's what I'm actually thinking. these players are basically shit.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And Antonio Conte,
just not as blunt as that.
Yeah, just not as blunt. Antonio Conte essentially just, yeah.
He
just
wants
had enough.
out. I think he just
He
had
wanted
enough,
out.
and he's gone. You know what? I could either leave
I'm
this
just going to hit
peacefully,
the big red nuclear button.
or I could make my
I'm
point
just
and
going
go
to
out with
nuke
a
him.
bang.
I'm just going to nuke him and see what happens. And I mean, it was.
But he's not wrong. He wasn't wrong when he said.
It always. You know what? That I will say, it's not the funniest press conference with an Italian in it, because I always remember, because I was at this press conference, Paolo Di Canio at Swindon, going, my play, I do what I want with my players in a technical area. They can't send me off every time. I'm not going to do an impersonation of it, but I used to be able to. But yeah, it's. I mean,
do you the Canio impression?
If it's English referee, I do what I want with my players. I do what I want in the technical area with my players. They can't send me off every time. That's the impression of Paolo Di Canio. There you go. That's the impersonation of Paolo Di Canio. So yeah, it's just that one. That's it. And that's my favourite, because I was in the room. I was in that press conference, standing at the back, and it looked like he was going to flip the table. It was quite funny.
Just full on WWE.
But you dare not giggle. You dare not giggle, otherwise you'd have an Italian man wrapping probably his hands round your throat.
Hey, I'd do it.
He'd be furious. He was furious with the referee. But yeah, where do we see Conte next? How damages his reputation?
To be honest, I think most Italian clubs won't care. And you can say which club. Pick a host of Italian clubs that I could go to.
I could see him at AC.
They'll take him.
AC Milan doing very well.
Inter. Maybe, well, Roma, depending if Mourinho stays.
Maybe Juventus. Maybe going back to Juve.
Yeah,
they're seventh at the moment. They're not really doing very well. Napoli, of course, are top. Lazio are second. Inter are third. Milan, AC are fourth. They're the defending champions. Or if he wants to,
great this season.
No, they are the defending champions. They're not doing brilliantly. If he wants to have fun with who's the old AC Milan, the Prime Minister, the old Prime Minister of Italy, the Bunga Bunga guy, the Bunga Bunga parties. What was his name?
Silvio
Berlusconi. If he wants to have wants to have mad parties with Silvio Berlusconi, he could end up at AS Monza. They're 13th.
Yeah, Monza. I could see him going somewhere like Atalanta or Fiorentina or something.
Yeah, Fiorentina. That'd be a. Oh, I'd love to see him in charge of Fiorentina. That would be great for Fiorentina. Right. I reckon he'll end up at Juventus though, because they're just crap this season.
They had a point deduction, didn't they?
Yeah,
so they're trying to crawl the way back up.
Yeah, but yeah, they would never. They were already having a bad season, and then they were given a points deduction, which made it nigh on impossible for them to qualify for the Champions League. They're 6 points off the pace, and probably won't, because they've got Atalanta and Roma in front of them, and AC Milan in fourth. So Lazio, by the way, doing really well in second place on 52, but it's Napoli's title. They're on 71 points. Yeah. It's their first league title since Maradona was playing for them. So, so looking good, and they are. I think they're people's dark horses for the Champions League this season.
Yeah, I just hope, for Napoli's sake, that people don't suck after the season. They don't come have all the best players taken off them.
Yeah, that's probably.
That's the worry, because we know Osimhen, who's scored how many goals he scored. He's already getting linked with Man United and all that. What's his name? Well, he gets called Kvaradona. Is it Kvaratskhelia or something? Yeah. The Georgian guy. Well, I think he just signed a new contract, I think. Or he's at least in talks to sign a new contract. But he's them two are the main guys. But they don't concede a lot of goals either. The defence is very, very good as well. So.
And they may lose their manager as well, Luciano Spalletti. He may be linked with other jobs. And to be honest, if you're going to win the league title with Napoli, you're getting out of there at the first port of call because they're not retaining that.
No, I think to be honest, if the higher ups in Napoli could say to Spalletti, look, we're keeping most of our best players,
but they won't. They don't have the money. They're not as
Well, that's
wealthy
the
as a Juventus, Milan, AC, Inter. They've not got that kind of budget. So
Well,
they'll
who knows?
probably end up. But yeah, who knows? You're right. Let's stick with Tottenham and talk about their director of. Well, I don't know. Is he still their director of football? Is he their former
Well,
director
he's
of
been
football?
suspended, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he was
Well,
director, wasn't he? Or
he's banned by
yeah,
FIFA.
he's banned completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't his dealings with Juventus, wasn't it?
Yes, it was over this, which saw Juventus get a points deduction. By the way, we did a video on our YouTube channel all about it, so if you want to go watch it.
Your YouTube buddy.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
it helps this channel.
He, yeah.
Paratici, who was handed a 30-month ban from Italian football in January relating to alleged financial mismanagement at Juventus. Essentially, they overhyped the value of players that they were selling and then devalued players they were buying. So they were selling players for, let's say they sold a player for £20 million and then bought in another player for £20 million, but because that player signed a 5-year contract, they're not paying £20 million all at once. They're saying, "Oh, actually, no. What's 20 divided by 5? I can't work it out. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Thank you very much." So they're saying, "Oh yeah, we're not spending £20 million. We're spending £4 million over 5 years."
I think it was.
But but you are spending £20 million.
I think specifically in that case, I think it was to do with the deal with Barcelona for Arthur Melo and Mirel and Pjanic.
Yeah, it had something to do with
deal
specific
was very
players.
murky. Yeah, like you sell one for so much and then bought another for so much.
Yeah,
I mean,
then they kind of tried to hide the way that they were. How much they were spending, and because they're a publicly traded company in Italy, they got called out for it because they're not a private company.
I think got caught out.
But Tottenham are urgently seeking clarification from FIFA over the decision to hand managing. He was the managing director of football, Fabrizio Paratici, a worldwide ban for football. I mean, I think you know what, he was Conte's buddy. He was appointed to bring in Conte. So I think they should just cut their losses, let Paratici go, serve his ban, bring in somebody else.
Yeah.
And in the summer, have an entirely new team of people. Bring in a director of football that knows Tottenham, that maybe, has decent scouting credentials, and have him work with the scouts to find players. Then have the director of football appoint a head coach or manager, not Daniel Levy, because clearly he has no knowledge of the game. Let a footballing person appoint the manager. And give them a fat 5-year contract and actually let them serve it. Remember when Martin Jol was Tottenham manager? At least he nearly got them into the top 4. Okay, crashed and burned at the end, but at least remember that final day where they all got food poisoning and Arsenal finished 4th and beat Wigan at Highbury? Final game at Highbury, yeah. I remember that one. That was a cracking game of football. And also another example of Spurs doing as Spurs. Yeah, so I think Spurs should just cut their losses at this point. But who are they going to get? Pochettino should not go there.
I mean, well, Pochettino is he still like the favourite?
Yeah, he's still. Well, Julian Nagelsmann, I believe, is now the favourite. Julian Nagelsmann is now the favourite to be the next Tottenham manager. But if you're Nagelsmann, I'm sorry, but I'm waiting for a better.
You wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole.
Yeah, exactly. Mauricio Pochettino's second, then the current caretaker is third.
Who else are they even going to get? Like, realistically, if it's not realistically, it's going to be one of them two. But, well, that's it. Luis Enrique is the only other sort of legitimate choice.
I saw Noel Gallagher put his 2 cents in about Vincent Kompany potentially being Tottenham manager, and he called it. He essentially said what you said earlier. It's career suicide. You know what? There are 2 interesting names that are on this list that I think would be perfect for a 5-year contract and develop a squad, and then you have to cut out the old men. So let Harry Kane go to Manchester United. Let Son leave. Let them go. Rebuild. rebuild completely from the ground up.
Let me guess, because I can read your mind. Postecoglou.
And
One.
who's the other one? There's two. You've struck oil with the first one. So who's the second one?
Yeah, I can't remember the second one. I just know you've mentioned Postecoglou before.
Yeah. I think appointing Ange Postecoglou would be a genius stroke, the stroke of genius that Arsenal had when they appointed Arsene Wenger.
Really?
I would think that would be a stroke of genius. Or Thomas Frank.
I thought you were going to say like De Zerbi or something.
Oh no! De Zerbi should stay at. He's not been at Brighton that long enough. I think he should stay at Brighton. Plus, I think he's probably prefers Brighton over the mess that Tottenham are. But I think Thomas Frank deserves a shot.
Thomas Frank?
Yeah, I think he's done a hell of a job at Brentford. He deserves a shot.
I think he loves Brentford.
Thomas Frank or Ange Postecoglou.
I think he's like fully engaged in the Brentford.
Oh no, I think you're right there. Well, I could tell you who would be desperate for the Tottenham job and would probably take it at the first offer, Brendan Rodgers. But that's because he's going down and getting relegated with Leicester City, because he's not a very good manager. So yes, I genuinely believe either Ange Postecoglou or Thomas Frank. I don't think
are they both on the list, are they?
They are, but then they're way down the list. I don't think they should go with Luis Enrique, no. Julian Nagelsmann, no. Pochettino, why go back to an ex? You had a messy breakup. Just delete his number. You know what Tottenham need to do? They had a messy breakup. Delete his number. Stop texting him. He's not available. Well, he is available, but you know what? He's not interested. He's been out with supermodels like PSG since
I've seen. You know what's funny? In terms of like that kind of analogy, I've got a perfect example. You know, like an American one. You know where they even say like it's like a chocolate covered Twinkie. It's like that really, really nice once or twice a year, but you get it's not good overall. So it's like this. It's like, oh, you know, that romance is there with Pochettino, but you know that if it became full time, it'd be like poison.
Yeah, exactly.
You like
date
diabetes.
number one. They've done it. They've drawn the bubble bath, put the roses in.
It's hot and heavy.
Bit of wine.
That's it. You meet up, and the chemistry's there. So it's a bit hot and heavy first night, and then 6 months in, and they're already like filing for divorce.
Before you know it, you've got 2 kids and you hate each other.
Yeah, and you fighting custody battles in court.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
well, you know what? He was still fighting custody battles for Son and Kane when he was at PSG. He's not there anymore, so it's fine. I don't see Poch going to Tottenham. Why would he go there again? That's just art.
He might just love Spurs.
No. Even Tottenham fans would admit that their love of Spurs borders on sadism.
They just love being tortured.
Yeah, exactly. It's
You'll get a release from it.
It's absolutely sadist, like AFTV's treatment of Arsenal before Arteta took over. It's absolute sadism. Any other business now? And the Premier League Hall of Fame has 2 other members, 2 brand new members, 2 of the greatest managers in Premier League history. Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson became the first managers to be inducted. And it's so ironic that they were inducted together, because you can't think of the late 90s, early 2000s Premier League without these 2 and their classic rivalry between Arsenal and Manchester United. The trips to Highbury, the trips to Old Trafford. I remember they both had gold kits at the time. Yeah. So Arsenal had the Nike gold kit with Saga as their sponsor, and then Manchester United the gold Umbro kit.
I remember
with
the
Vodafone.
Arsenal gold kit.
The Arsenal one's more iconic.
Kit. Yeah.
The Arsenal one's more iconic. I think the Arsenal one's my favourite Premier League kit of all time. The Manchester United one is kind of a miss, because it's their white away kit just made gold. Dipped in gold. That's all it was. But as a Liverpool fan, are you willing to admit that Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest British manager of all time, or is he the greatest manager of the 21st century, or where does he list in the
I'd say he's definitely up there. Like he's definitely like top. I'd say he's there in my opinion with.
I mean, Paisley's up there.
Paisley, Shankly, Clough. They're like the top 4 in my eyes.
Mm.
With Ferguson, yeah.
But then you forgot Busby, Manchester United legend.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
no, but there you go, Busby as well. So yeah, there's top 5.
Top 5, and then Wenger 6th for what he did with Arsenal.
That was British. That was British managers.
Oh yeah, British managers. But yeah.
managers of
no,
English
let's
league.
leave. Let's leave it at British managers. Where does fellow Glaswegian King Kenny come? Dalglish, is he sick?
Well, even management player Kenny Dalglish.
Player, brilliant.
I know. He win
the Premier League at Blackburn. He's a Premier League winner.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I don't remember him for that because that was like. What year was that?
95, I think, 96.
Like I was,
and then they were taken over by somebody who's really terrific and talks like this. And yes, I was really pleased with Crystal Palace today and the way Zaha plays. And he was apparently a really nice bloke, but I've also heard stories that he's an absolute bastard when you get him into the dressing room.
Right.
Roy Hodgson took over and got them relegated.
Right, well, you could. I mean, yeah. If someone looking at it from an impartial view, will look at. Was I going to say Kenny Dalglish won title with Blackburn? Yeah, really, that year was him and them and Man United. But for me, if you want to talk my opinion of Kenny Dalglish, my view of him has always been Liverpool player. That's where his main success came.
Liverpool manager in the 80s. He was a Liverpool manager as well.
Well, he's like late 80s. He did become player manager. And I think we did win. I can't remember what trophies we won with him as player manager. Did we win a league title? I think we won at least one. I remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year he became player manager. How long he was player manager for. But yeah. So you could say Kenny Dalglish is up there, but for me, I always look at him as a Liverpool player. More than anything. Yeah.
He's a top, probably the who was the manager of Celtic when they won the when they won the European Cup. I suppose that's an achievement in itself. But hey, we're getting into semantics now, I guess. So we'll move on quickly. But any other managers that you would have in the Premier League Hall of Fame besides Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger? Would you have
instantly you're looking at Mourinho, aren't you?
Yeah, I think you are looking at Mourinho.
You're looking at
what about
what's his name?
Gerard Houllier? Would you see him in the Premier League Hall of Fame, or is that diluting the Hall of Fame? Because he did win the UEFA Cup and the FA Cup with Liverpool, but I suppose it's a Premier League Hall of Fame.
Treble. He won like a sort of a small treble that
Benitez?
season, didn't he? Ranieri.
Ranieri. That's a good shout.
But I mean, you could say, but the thing is, what are you grading them on? Like, are you grading just on success?
Banter. Fact. No, we'll grade them on fact.
You could say Benitez, yeah, because you won a Champions League. But then you could say, oh yeah, let's bring in what's
everyone
his name?
that finished
Di
second.
Matteo, was it? Was he won Champions League with
but never
with Chelsea?
I think if you're looking at, I think Mourinho is probably the third member of that.
Yeah, Mourinho.
I think Ranieri for just the sheer shock of Leicester City.
For that Leicester win, the title win. Who else?
I think that's it then. I think
pretty much.
I don't think Conte's.
But then you look at obviously Pep and Klopp.
Pep and Klopp. Yeah, I think Klopp, for the amount of time that Liverpool had to wait for that league title. And just the dominance of Man City, even though they spent all that money,
and
to put it in context. But
4 or 5 of these titles
Pep would have to be in there at some point. Yeah.
Well, if you're found guilty of all those charges, then no.
No, absolutely not, because it is essentially financial
It,
doping.
it would defile the sanctity of the Hall of Fame if he was put in at that point.
Absolutely. Completely concur with that point. Right, let's move on from the Premier League Hall of Fame, where Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger has joined, to a little bit of a more serious story now in any other business. The Players Foundation has been criticised by a charity who say they've had to step in to offer financial support to 3 former players with dementia. This is because the foundation refused to do so. The Players Foundation is the former charitable arm of the Professional Footballers Association, but the 2 entities have since split and work separately. The players involved in this are former Manchester United and Scotland international Gordon McQueen, whose daughter Hayley works for Sky Sports News and tweeted all about this. She's very passionate about this and really good at talking about it. Also, ex-Blackburn midfielder Tony Parks and the former Huddersfield and Bradford City forward Alan Gilliver as well, who all have advanced dementias and are currently in residential care. The new dementia charity, the Head for Change, which formed 3 years ago, says families struggling to afford the payments and have donated £3,000 to each of them. And essentially, these players, they've been abandoned, and it's very sad to see. We've seen the team of 66, the World Cup winners, suffer from this. In total, 5 of England's World Cup winning team have developed dementia, and it's led to the death of 4 of them since. Ray Wilson was the first to succumb to it in 2018. Martin Peters also dying of dementia in 2019. Jack Charlton died of debilitating illness in July of 2020. Legendary Ireland manager as well should be pointed to Jack. He was never knighted, but he should have been. Nobby Stiles in October of last year, and then of course we've got Jack's brother Sir Bobby also suffering from the same condition. It's an absolute disgrace, isn't it, Callum, that we're allowing these people to essentially put their heads on the line and suffer from this disease, and we as fans would love to do more, but the authorities just don't seem to care.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You pretty much summarised it all up.
Yeah, I haven't left you much wiggle room.
All I can say as well is I can care with what you said.
Just echo it. Yeah. But it's an absolute disgrace. It'd be interesting to see if football clubs started to get involved, if the clubs themselves started to get involved. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see maybe Manchester United do something for Sir Bobby, or Newcastle do something for Jack, or for. We'll see what happens, but hey, hopefully they step up. Premier League, in other news, Premier League, there are significant changes as clubs agree new ownership rules, including rules on human rights abuses. Go woke or go broke, people. I'm not that way. Don't worry, that was a joke. I'm not that way inclined. I watch GB News all the time. Human rights, more out of comedy. Human rights is of course, one of the this additional disqualifying events, which means that, pretty much every Arab state owns a football club now, don't they? Saudi have investments in Newcastle United. The Qataris are trying to buy Manchester United at the moment. Yeah. We've got the Emiratis at Man City. Yeah, the city-state of Abu Dhabi at Manchester City. We had, Usmanov, the Russian, involved at Arsenal, then Everton afterwards. But obviously, since we've had Abramovich at Chelsea, and it just seems, who's next? Jordan? Oman, they get involved. Is Iran going to buy a football club? It just seems ridiculous. And I think at the time, it was said that, it is sports washing in a way, and trying to improve the public. Look at Newcastle United's 3rd kit. If that's not the Saudi national team kit, I don't know what is, because that's essentially what it is. But how they're going to do this? So the fit and proper persons test, which has always been the biggest joke in football, Quite ironic that we're talking about it on April Fool's Day. So the new rules state that individuals found to have committed human rights abuses will be unable to be an owner or director of a Premier League club under these new rules. Now, I don't know who's precisely involved in Newcastle, but if it's the Crown Prince, they should immediately have that club taken.
It'll be a proxy, won't it? It won't be him directly. He'll have a proxy. He'll be physically
exactly, and that will be the way to get around
board
it.
meetings. Well, that'll be the loophole, won't it?
Yeah, exactly.
If the Crown Prince's name is not officially connected with it, then that'll be the loophole. They can't actually connect him to it. So, but one thing is, does that affect current clubs, or is that only for new owners?
No, it's not retrospective at all.
You can't backdate it. Oh.
No, you can't backdate it. So, it is. It's going forward. So Newcastle are fine. So.
But then obviously Qataris. I mean, who knows?
Potentially the Bank of Qatar buying Manchester United, and it could definitely affect them. Definitely, but we'll wait and see. And to be honest, they'll get around it. As you say, they'll have some sort of proxy, and I would say that maybe Amanda Staveley is the proxy at Newcastle United.
Well, yeah, she's like the spokesperson.
She is like a 10%. She is also a 10% shareholder of that club.
But she's been seen with, I don't know what the guy's name she's always seen with, but I think he's like the
they have some kind of loose connection. Her husband, he has some kind of loose connection to it, but I don't know the specifics, and I don't want to mention it because I don't want to get sued. But they have some sort of alleged loose connection. But how close they are. The Premier League had faced, of course, strong criticism from Amnesty International in particular with the Newcastle takeover, which saw the Saudi Public Investment Fund essentially buy 80% of the football club. Under the new rules, which were approved this week, a person or company being subject to government sanctions is now also a disqualifying event, whilst the range of criminal offences that could result in disqualification has been extended to include offences involving violence, corruption, fraud, tax evasion, and hate crimes, which means that Saudi Arabia...
Tax evasion, that's basically 99% of owners. Tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
They all have their bank accounts in the Cayman Islands that are they can't be traced, and hoard their money because it's a tax haven. So are they just going to go after? They should. So basically, they should if they're going to follow their own rules.
They should go after everyone. Yeah, exactly.
Go after everyone.
I can't give you one.
You can't be a billionaire. You can't be a multi-billionaire.
And not
especially the state fund, the state back one. They don't avoid paying tax. A fair share tax. That's why common people like us don't become rich, because we're forced to pay our fair share tax. It comes right out of our pay before we're paid. Whereas they pay themselves, so they can go, oh well, I'll just put some stuff to the side. Here's HMRC. Here's my tax for the year. Because HMRC usually don't look into it properly.
No, they are a wee bit useless. Right then, we alas move on from taxations and things like that. And before we get to the Classica, Aberdeen have announced that interim manager Barry Robson will remain in charge at Pittodrie until the summer. So there you go, good for him. News on Wrexham and Everton on the way, but the Classica happened. And it's Thomas Tuchel's first game as Bayern München manager. First of all, Callum, what do you think of the appointment of Thomas Tuchel as Bayern München manager?
Safe.
Safe appointment. Good appointment. Yeah.
Yes, steady hands.
It was always going to go there. They're top of the league at the moment. Union Berlin, I think, are my personal my favourites in the Bundesliga this season, being third. It did look like they were going to do a Leicester City in the Bundesliga, but it's they're 4 points off the pace now. Yeah, they've slipped a little bit. It would have been nice to see Union Berlin win the league, and obviously Berlin clubs historically don't do that well in the Bundesliga. Look at Hertha Berlin, currently in 16th and in that relegation playoff spot. It's really just Hertha are bad, and they play at that massive Olympus Stadion, the one that was built for the Nazi Olympics in 1936. They play in that one, which is too big for them. And yet Union Berlin nearly went out of business. Their fans donated blood to get money to give the club and kept them alive, and now they're third in the Bundesliga. And they were the favourites to be relegated in their first season in the Bundesliga. They survived. They're in the Europa Conference League or the Europa League this season. I can't remember which one.
Europa Conference.
I think that, I think you're right there. I think they're in the Europa Conference League. First European season. Well done. They could be in the Champions League next season. Hey, looking good for FC Union. So, great stuff. But back to the Klassiker, the biggest game that Germany has to offer. Here's the thing about the Bundesliga. It's just FC Bayern. It's just Bayern. In the same way that the French league is just PSG. Although, saying that...
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that I think in the French league, no matter what happens with PSG and other teams will have decent seasons. Like Marseille's having a good season this season. Well, PSG will still win the league. Because that's just it's just a given. Whereas the Bundesliga, like, you can get Bayern obviously the biggest, but like we've seen, others can get close. Union Berlin and Dortmund are fighting with them. It's a bit more of a competition than the French league.
I don't know, because Bayern have won the last 10 Bundesligas, haven't they? And
Dortmund
haven't come anywhere near challenging
closer. But it's always closer in that than the French league.
Yeah, okay, I can see to your point.
It's close in the French league. That was your argument. You're talking about you were comparing them to. I'm comparing them to, and I'm saying it's closer in the Bundesliga than it is the French league. Now that's not to say that Bayern don't dominate, because they do. It's because they have the most money and the best players. Like,
I just remember like the mid 2000s where Bayern were kind of mid. They were kind of in a transitional period, and they were just kind of rubbish.
And you had all kinds of teams winning the Bundesliga. They had
like Bayer Leverkusen up there. Dortmund were also quite mid back then. So,
Wolfsburg,
Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen were in the Champions League. They were up there. Hoffenheim and just Stuttgart as well, and Schalke were up there, and Hamburg as well, and now Hamburg are in the second division. So Bayern have dominated for the last 10 years. They're probably going to find a way to win again, although I think we'd all like Union Berlin to win.
I wouldn't mind.
I prefer Union Berlin, just because Union haven't won it.
No, I'm not. Hang on.
I know your point. You're not.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if Union Berlin won it. I'd be more than happy.
Exactly.
I have a soft spot for Dortmund.
Because of Klopp.
And also because I think they've got very good players, and I want bet. Well,
do you see Dortmund as the Liverpool of Germany?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I see the comparison. I can see you know what? I agree with the comparison, and I see it.
Plus for Bellingham as well. Want him to do well.
Yeah, I saw his chats with Stevie G at one of the European matches. I mean, those two. Oh, Stevie G couldn't stop flirting with Bellingham. He's like, "Oh, why don't you join Liverpool? You should come to Liverpool." And then Bellingham was like, "Well, you're my idol. You're my idol." I mean, come on, you two, just get a room.
I'll pay. Yeah, get a room. I'll pay for it.
Get a Premier Inn. Get the contracts on the bed. Sign the contracts and have a bottle of bubbly. And whatever happens, happens. Put it away, lads. A romantic night in Liverpool, and it turns out that Bellingham becomes a Liverpool player afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
Premier in Liverpool. Or is that more an Everton thing, the Premier in Liverpool?
No.
So it finished Bayern 4, Dortmund 2. Emre Can is a player that I remember. He scored a penalty in that match, but Muller with 2 goals, Kingsley Coman with the goal as well, and Gregor Kobel with an own goal, putting it in his own net, which is not helpful.
Yeah.
And Mason, is it Marlon?
I tell you what, Thomas Muller
with the goal as well. Yeah,
Thomas Muller scoring 2 goals. He is timeless, isn't he? Because he's like 33 now. He's like, he's been there for so long, and he's still a great player, underrated.
Absolutely. And their next opponent in the they've got a DFB Pokal match against Freiburg, and then who are they playing in the league away? Freiburg. So they got 2 games against Freiburg, and then they've got Manchester City at the Etihad in the Champions League quarterfinals.
Bayern batter them.
I think Bayern might. I think Bayern might do that. I think
the thing is, Tuchel with Chelsea got one over on City, and when he won the Champions League with Chelsea. If he set up the same, I think he's got one over on them. I think.
Well, we'll wait and see that one. I should have mentioned this earlier when we were doing the scores, but a huge congratulations to the FA Trophy finalists, because it will be FC Halifax Town versus Gateshead, the non-league equivalent of the FA Cup. FC Halifax Town and Gateshead at Wembley. So yeah, 2 northern teams fighting it out for the FA Trophy. Good for them. Well done. Good luck. I'll watch that match when it's on BT Sport. It's a great opportunity to watch some non-league football. We have to talk about, because it has been an international break, should we talk about England, even though we don't really want to?
Do we have to?
I mean, it did finish Italy 1, England 2. To be honest, I'd have rather lost this game and won the frickin' European Championship. But, Italy are in a dire state at the moment, aren't they? They're yeah. But the more important result, and I think we'll both get a cheap laugh out of this one. Spain 0, Scotland 2, or Scotland 2, Spain 0. The grass was too long, says Rodri. Oh,
yeah, they're wasting time and all that.
Actually, no. Rodri said no. They don't play. They don't play football. They go to ground too easily. Hang on, you're Rodri.
Yeah, he's a little shithouse that he is.
Yes,
he just can't admit that Spain were terrible.
Yeah,
and they were outplayed.
The grass was too long. That's the funniest bit, isn't it? The grass was too long. Scotland kept going down, wasting time. This is not the way to play football. I agree. It's not the way to play football, but it is the way to beat Spain. And you know what? Fair play to Scotland. I just love their whining and moaning afterwards, and
it's typical Man City tactics. Whinge when everything doesn't go your way, even though you cheat.
Yeah, I just loved it. Loved everything about it, and obviously the other game was England beating Ukraine by 2-0. I'm getting a vibe that Ben White has had a falling out with Gareth Southgate, because he can't get in that England team for love nor money, even though he's playing first team football for Arsenal.
Who knows?
But yeah, I'm speculating there. But we don't really care about England outside. To be honest, do you really care when they're in a tournament?
No, if they're in a tournament, I'll watch them. But the qualifiers and friendlies during the international break, I'm like, nah, I'm not asked.
Remember when Steve McLaren was in charge and we were like, oh yeah, we should easily qualify for Euro 2008. Yeah, didn't happen. Oh wait, yeah, I ended up supporting Romania at that tournament. Got knocked out the group stage. Right. Yeah, I know, right? England, they're a little bit naff at that stage. The Wally with a brolly. Wrexham news then. Wrexham looks set to be promoted to the Football League. Have you watched Welcome to Wrexham? I'm assuming you have.
No,
really? Oh, watch it. It's great. It's even great from a casual fan's perspective, because of course casual people have seen, oh, it's Ryan Reynolds, I'll watch that, and then they've learnt something about North Welsh football.
Yeah, no thanks. Got better things take up my time.
See, I've watched it and I loved it. So, but I'm not a casual fan. I just watched it because I wanted to see how much they would mess it up. And to be fair, they've done quite well. Although they have lost £3 million. Hollywood actors Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have lost nearly £3 million since taking over Wrexham. But the pair have pledged to carry on backing the club despite the financial hit. They bought it for a documentary. Let's admit it now. They bought the club for a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got, what's better, Ted Lasso or Welcome to Wrexham?
I haven't watched either.
See, I love Ted Lasso as well. See, So you just don't watch footballing programs, except they're not footballing programs, are they?
They look like comedy programs.
Yeah, they're more they're less. It's less Sunderland Till I Die and more Americans learn English culture. Except for
honest,
Ryan Reynolds because he's Canadian.
Well, I think it's Ryan Reynolds. Going to North Wales in Wrexham is and he's there for most matches. I've seen that.
He was there for their women's match as well. So was Rob McElhenney, as was Blake Lively as well. His wife. Yeah, they were celebrating promotion from the second division.
Obviously, they're getting to know North Wales culture very nicely, and just imagine Ryan Reynolds just walking around the streets of Wrexham. Imagine going to Llandudno or something. Going to the seaside and having an ice cream on the beach.
His kids are going to go to university at Aberystwyth. Aberystwyth Uni. Yeah, Bangor Uni. Yeah.
Oh God, that's just weird to think about. Because I've been to Bangor Uni.
Oh God, maybe they could get a Chester Uni. Maybe they'll go to the English side of it, or
Yeah.
Is that the nearest uni to Wrexham? Is Bangor or is it Chester Uni? I presume it's Chester.
I don't know. I think it's Chester. It's closest, yeah.
The only ones I know in Wales are Bangor, Aberystwyth, Cardiff Uni, Cardiff Met, and University of South Wales.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I know. Aberystwyth, for some reason, sticks in my mind because that's a seaside town, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know why it sticks in my mind, but yeah, I just like saying it Aberystwyth, like Llandudno.
Yeah.
Or oh God, I nearly tried to say it then. No, I'm not going to say it.
Why?
The longest place name.
Yeah.
I can't fucking say it now. Llanfaith Pwthwyngyth Gogerinth Windrobus Lantilio Gogogoch. There you go. Not even a great pronunciation of it, but yeah, there you go. I can say the longest place name in Wales purely because I got bored in lockdown. So the accounts revealed that for the last 12 months, £2.914 million was their loss. Now they will achieve more money when they get into the Football League, so those losses will be reduced because I think they get like an extra £1 million just for being in the EFL, on top of the TV money that Sky gives to the EFL for its coverage and things like that. And so we'll wait and see. But it's significant. The £3 million is no mean feat, and I know that's probably coming, no offence to McElhenney, but it's probably mostly coming from Ryan Reynolds' pocket. He is the richer of the two. Not that McElhenney is not a millionaire in his own right from a television perspective, but he's a TV star.
But Ryan Reynolds is
a multi-millionaire
movie
businessman and movie star. He just sold his mobile phone company to T-Mobile in America, so he's got to have money. And he sold his gin company last year, so he's got a digital advertising company, so he's got businesses outside of just the acting world, and obviously Deadpool 3 is it? Deadpool 3 is coming out very soon.
Yeah.
Disney. He's got that Disney bank behind him.
Yeah.
He'll just call his good pal Mickey, and Mickey will go, ho ho, ho ho. Got another series of Welcome to Wrexham for you. Ho ho. That's my Mickey Mouse impersonation. It's just,
that does not sound creepy at all, does it? Imagine, you know what? It'd be a perfect setting for a horror film. You have a young kid, right, 10 years old, whatever, in bed at night, sound dark, and all he hears is you
from the wardrobe,
and his eyes just shoot open. Dun, dun,
I think there's something in my closet. Ho
Well, there's something under your bed. And
it's got big ears and big eyes and a big nose. And is that Minnie Mouse?
Oh God! It's like that failed horror version of Winnie the Pooh, a horror version of Mickey Mouse.
Oh, brilliant! Right, let's talk about every Liverpool fan's favourite subject, Everton.
Shouldn't it be the opposite round? Like Everton fans' favourite.
No, actually, yeah, no, that is.
We're the ones who live rent free in their head.
Yeah, the opposite is true. Everton, you might get a cheap laugh out of this one. Everton's ability to continue as a going concern would be cast into doubt in the event of relegation from the Premier League, according to the club's latest financial accounts.
Yeah.
The
Because they just announced
sobering.
the newest. I'm sure I've just seen things saying they announced the newest losses, which is like another 40 something million, which has put it up to like 290 something million over the past 3 or 4 years. So they have absolutely battered through FFP, a loud amount to lose. So not only are they going to get relegated, but well, they could get relegated, but then they're going to get a points deduction as well, well, potentially.
Potentially,
So
yes.
it's not going to go well for them at all. Like
No,
it just like Everton are the only club. As I've seen Liverpool fans saying this on Twitter, Everton are the only club who can actually spend way over the odds, beat and bypass FFP and get worse.
yes, pretty much. Yeah, that is exactly what's happened to them. £44.7 million were the recorded losses for the 21-22 season. The fifth successive season loss was returned, which obviously puts them in major trouble with, as Callum said, FFP. The Premier League aren't happy. Significant reductions to the club's losses, down from 120.9 million the previous year. So, hey, guys, we lost money, but it's down from 120.9. You know what? I feel like I should do a voice for that, and there's only one voice I could do for that. Guys, we haven't lost as much money. We lost 120.9 million pounds last year, but this year it's looking very good, very good. We're running the club very well. Bigly well, £47.7 million. I'm not going to jail. Fake news. Thank you. All right, go back to jail now. Okay.
I think the Premier League aren't happy because it's happened while they were the ones like assisting them. Like I think every transaction, basically anything involved with money, had to get approved by the Premier League. Premier League like overlooking things, and they've still managed to like lose loads of money. So the Premier League, like, how? You've obviously done something dodgy here because we've been the ones been approving everything, and you still lost loads of money. So clearly they've been doing stuff behind the Premier League's back.
Yeah, so Everton last week, they failed to prevent the Premier League last week, referring Everton to an independent commission for an alleged breach of profit and sustainability rules for this reporting period. If you know what's going on at Reading, the EFL in the kind of Reading have lost money hand over fist. And the EFL were the ones bankrolling them essentially, and the EFL were kind of perplexed as to how much money Reading lost, because they were like, well, we were the ones that were bankrolling you, so how have you lost even more money? And yeah, like they're not allowed. So if you look, they're kind of parallels to be drawn between Reading and Everton at the moment. But anyway, back to Everton, because their chief executive Denise Barrett Baxendale stressed. Everton remained in a secure financial position thanks to the continued support and commitment of majority shareholder Farhad Moshiri. I bet he wants to put the for sale sign as far as it can be seen. I bet he's kind of DMing Elon Musk and said, you know, you bought Twitter for 44 billion. Can you give me 20 billion for Everton, even though it's worth about £1 million? Thank you very much. I bet he wants to I bet he's gutted with the new Premier League ownership rules, because he'd be like, Jordan, do you want to buy? I don't mean Katie Price by that. I mean the country, not Katie Price. She hasn't got any money. Everton, Jordan, do you want the? I bet he would probably get a flight to Pyongyang, to Pyongyang and go, Kim, Everton, fancy it? It's like, nah. Everton in a pretty terrible financial position. What do you make of it as a Liverpool fan? Everton's financial position. Are you kind of like finding it funny, or is it concerning, or do you just not care?
A little bit of all three, to be honest. Like, part of me is thinking, am I really arsed? Does it affect me? No. And then part of me is like, haha, look at Everton. And then another part's going, well, do I want to see them like get done, like, out of business or whatever, So yeah, I don't really know what my main thought is, but it's like all three. I'm kind of like laughing at them in a case of like banter. But then another part of me is like, I really couldn't be or couldn't care less. And then, as I said, last bit is like, no, do I really want to see them get like run out of business? So yeah, I'm a bit unsure what my thoughts are really like on it.
Well, going back to
But it's
that
bad
situation,
though. The way they've been ran is shit.
they've added, should the club be relegated, it will require additional financial support from its shareholders. Of course, Farhad Mashiri being the only one.
Down, or they're already financially up shit creek, right?
Without a paddle.
They go down as well. I mean, first thing they do is to sell most of their players.
Yeah.
And then even then, they'd still need major financial support. So they would, like, I wouldn't even. It would be you couldn't ever come back from it. I don't think.
No.
Just to keep them afloat, they'd need just to keep them like steady.
I reckon you could have a back-to-back relegation on your hand to League One for Everton.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it could happen. It wouldn't be nice to see it. Like, it nearly happened to Aston Villa. After Randy Lerner decided to. It definitely happened to Sunderland. So you could. I don't think it's out the realms of possibility of happening to Everton. Could you imagine that nice new Bramley Dock Stadium playing home to Tranmere Rovers? That'd be the Merseyside derby. That would be their Merseyside derby if they got relegated to League One. Tranmere Rovers versus Everton.
Yeah,
it would make Tranmere fans' dreams come true to have Everton as a rival at the same level. But clubs are allowed, by the way, if you want to know the rules, maximum of £105 million over 3 years. Well, they lost 120 million in one season alone.
Yeah, I mean, that was 2021, wasn't it? So that was like the pandemic.
That was
year.
Pandemic, so they were forgiven for that. But
everyone was losing money at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. Of the 15 clubs who have released their 21-22 accounts, to date 6, those being Arsenal, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Leicester, Manchester United, and Tottenham, have all recorded heavier losses. In fact, we found out, and we'll move on to this, the scale of Manchester United's debt this week. Insane amounts of money. We'll move on to that in a bit. But it's not a great situation for Everton. In terms of if they have to sell their players, who have they got that would make money for them? Like
Jesus, yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why I was trying to say they have to sell all their players because I don't think any one of them has got. I mean, you could say Pickford, Tarkowski.
Yeah. Pickford is the only one I see going for decent money.
Well, so Tarkowski would get you a little bit. What's the defender's name? English centre back.
Oh, I know who you mean.
Not Holgate, not Cody.
Oh God, no, Cody's. Yeah, no, he'd go for about $1 million.
A little bit more. Yeah. Then who else? Maybe
Calvert-Lewin. How much would he go for?
I mean, 20 if that.
Keane,
Onana in midfield.
Keane might go for a couple mil, but not
Keane.
Not
Michael Keane.
A lot of money. Yeah, Michael Keane. Maybe Dwight McNeil might go for a couple million, but
Yeah.
You got Nathan Patterson, the Scottish international.
It might go for a little bit.
Myalenko might go for a couple mil. But
that's why I was saying that even if you sold all the players, that's not going to cover their losses.
No,
they still have to get major financial help after that. But then they're going to have to sign a whole new squad of players.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not a pretty picture for Everton at the moment. Right, let's move on to Manchester United. They are for sale. Not that you've heard about it, because it's not like every single piece of 5 minutes on Sky Sports News is dedicated to Manchester United sale. Weren't Liverpool looking for investment? That seems to have been quashed by Manchester United. I saw a meme of like two stools and like Manchester United for sale and Liverpool for sale. Everyone's at Manchester United, no one's at Liverpool. But Liverpool aren't technically for sale.
We were technically put up first. We were technically put up first. Even though, and then everyone's gone to Man United. And then what's funny is that John W. Henry, who's the head of the Fenway Sports Group, who owned Liverpool, he was getting interviewed in America for a magazine, a sports magazine, something to do with one of his American sports teams, and randomly brought up Liverpool, saying, "Oh yeah, well, this isn't word for word. This is me paraphrasing, but saying like, oh yeah, Liverpool aren't really up for sale. They were just sort of testing the waters for investment partners." But this was like 2 months ago, but it was announced that we were for sale in November. Why was it announced in November and then no one says anything until like February? And it's like, we're sitting there waiting for investment. Like so many people want new owners, and then the owner just comes out randomly, not even, in a newspaper, in a magazine article in America, saying that, oh yeah, we're not ready for sale.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't surprise me. Everyone going towards Man United, no one going near us. Banter, which is banter club, absolute banter club.
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah.
No, I wouldn't surprise if you did laugh. We did laugh.
Yes, I did. I apologise. Manchester United then. So they've announced an increase in their debt, essentially amid potential takeover, because I don't want to say that they are run as badly as the Hicks and Gillette Liverpool, but it's pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. You can't. I would say with the Glazers, you can't argue that they haven't increased the commercial value of Manchester United, although with the commercial value of English football increasing anyway, would it have got to that stage? You could argue probably. Maybe they wouldn't be quite as commercially valuable, but they'd be up there. Manchester United's debt increased by £58.6 million to a staggering £535.7 million. That's over £500 million. From the year ending the 31st of December 2022. That's according to the club's latest financial results. The debt rose from £477.1 million because of the weak nature of the pound against the dollar. These are proper financial terms. So in the US, they are in debt by $650 million. Now, that might not mean anything to the man on the street, but what it means is potentially it's less attractive to potentially new owners and problematic potentially because some of the when you're the Qatari bank, you can spend what you like, and you can make bold claims that they won't run Manchester United for a profit. But then you've got people like who's the Ineos guy, Sir John.
Jim Ratcliffe.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the Ineos guy, who is a billionaire in his own right, but I don't think he's going to write off $500 million in debt because that's just bad business.
That's very, very, very bad business. If you're on,
yeah. And I'm sorry, if you're Jim Ratcliffe, your manager. I know he said contrary to what he said. He will run Manchester United for a profit because if you don't, you're an idiot.
Because you're just losing money then.
Yeah, you're just losing. And you might be the biggest Manchester United fan in the world, but you want to know how to make £1 million in football? Start with $1 billion. There you go. That is how, you have to, football clubs have to make money. They have to be sustainable. I'm a firm believer, even if it's a £1 profit, that's fine by me, but it has to be £1 at the very least. You have to meet that requirement, which is kind of why I prefer the way Liverpool are run. I know I know you have your problems with it, but at least they're not going anywhere. Whereas Manchester City, Newcastle, they can spend all this money. Look at the shit Chelsea are in now that Abramovich has gone. they spent all that money, but you got to think that their American owners are one day going to come back and go, okay, we want that money back. Every American investor has done that. Aston Villa, Sunderland, they've all come back to them and gone, want our money back, please. So if unless you're from an Arab state, you're going to want to make money from it. And I know Manchester City owners can write it off, and the Saudi Public Investment Fund can write it off, and the Qataris can write off PSG's losses. And if the Qatari bank, if the guy that runs the Qatari state bank buys Manchester United, he can write it off. But if you're people like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, you're not writing that debt off. If you're Fenway Sports Group, you're not writing that debt off. I mean, I don't think Fenway Sports would even consider if they weren't involved at Liverpool, they would never consider that kind of debt level.
No,
because look at Liverpool's debt level when they took over. You know, they've really run that club quite well. I know you disagree on the pitch, but off the pitch, I think they've done very well. Although,
the business model when they were building us up was spotless. Like, we were the envy of the football world, like how to run a club, get it, build it up from, because they bought us for 300 million, and if they want to sell us, we could get 3.5 billion.
Yeah.
Look at the profit they'd make on us. That's how you build us up. But when you get to that point, that model then doesn't work then, because you're still trying to cut corners in that and to compete with them, with the city, with the the country-backed states, state-backed clubs. Then you've got to start spending money, otherwise you just can't keep up with them. And then it's a slippery slope then back down to mediocrity. And that's what's happened to us this season.
Yeah. Well,
they've not invested enough in money. That's the problem.
No, they do need to. They need to buy Bellingham. That's what Liverpool need to make a statement in the summer. They need to make a statement. They need to sign their marquee player, which is Bellingham, and then they need to sign other players that aren't so expensive. But and then build a new team around Bellingham. Essentially, that's kind of what they need to do. Maybe if I don't want to give you a heart attack here, but maybe if Mo Salah can bring in some money, sell him and bring in.
He just signs a new contract. Like, why would he sell him?
But they may need to sell somebody else to bring in Bellingham.
Who?
That'll be the model.
Why have we got to sell? Why, like, we followed that sell to buy policy. Why have we got to sell players to buy players? Why can't they just go and buy player? Why
because
not?
That's not how their business model works.
Well, that's what I've just said. The business model doesn't work anymore. We're a classic example of that. It's built us up to get to where we are, and we're slipping back down to mediocrity because they're stubbornly trying to hold on to the same model. They've got to change it up.
I think if you buy him young enough, they could potentially. If you copied Borussia Dortmund's model of buying younger players, training them up and selling them on, I think that could work. But then you probably won't win a title. You just finish second every season or third.
Yeah,
and in the Premier League, you'd probably end up finishing fourth. Let's face it.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to be Arsenal. Circa 2005.
I wouldn't mind being Arsenal this season.
Well, not this season, Arsenal, but I mean Arsenal circa 2005.
Yeah.
2005, 2006. But yeah, the financial figures give bidders, apparently, according to the Manchester Evening News, they give bidders the upper hand with the Glazers in the takeover price, because now that they know the debt levels, they can say, well, you want what was it? What do they want? $6 billion for the club? Obviously, they're not going to get it. I think the offers are around $3 billion. I think the highest bid they got was $3.3 billion.
Chelsea over how much? That was 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is way over the odds.
Yeah, for Chelsea, when you need to invest in Stamford Bridge, they had a decent squad and decent manager, and then they went and pissed it up the wall. But they really need a new stadium. That's the biggest problem at Chelsea right now, besides now the self-imposed problems that they've created for themselves with the squad and manager, is the future of Stamford Bridge. They need to either leave Stamford Bridge and which they can't actually do, because then they would lose the rights to the Chelsea name, They either need to knock it. They need to do what Real Madrid are doing with the Bernabeu and what Barcelona are doing with the Nou Camp. They need to essentially rebuild it around the current stadium, or, as has been proposed, move to Wembley for 3 or 4 years, knock down Stamford Bridge, and build a brand new stadium to replace Stamford Bridge on the current site of Stamford Bridge. But then they would also need the agreement of the Chelsea Pitch Owners Association, who own the rights to the Chelsea name. So there you go. So it's a complicated issue.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But that's Chelsea. Manchester United is slightly different because they do own Old Trafford. They haven't sold that yet, or the naming rights or anything like that. The biggest problem for any prospective Manchester United owner is paying over the odds for the club, and then having to. I would say their biggest problem right now is their training ground. Carrington is not fit for purpose.
Yeah, well, then Old Trafford itself is a relic.
And Old Trafford, the stadium, is also. I would say Carrington probably takes priority over Old Trafford for now.
Yeah,
but they definitely need to do the same as Chelsea. Yeah, they need to do the same as Real Madrid. There are so many old classical stadiums that need a little bit of upgrade, and we've seen, Barcelona and Real Madrid do that with their stadiums. They're doing it currently with the Camp Nou and the Bernabeu, respectively. The biggest problem in Italy right now is the future of the San Siro. Milan, the people of Milan want to keep it as the stadium. God, I've seen the pictures of the toilets and at the San Siro. They look like. This is just a joke for me and Callum because this will make us laugh. They look like the LRV toilets at about 3 a.m. when everyone's gone, just about leaving. So, and that's what they look like before match day. So, yeah, they're not in a great condition. The future of the so many of these classical stadiums need sprucing up, and look at what Tottenham did with their stadium. I know they're a bit of a mess, joke of a football club, but look, that stadium's lovely, and it hosts NFL. They're putting an F1 karting track underneath, which I don't know why. Spend some money on players instead of a karting track underneath your stadium. But yeah, Chelsea need a new stadium. Manchester United need an upgrade on Old Trafford. Probably, if they could expand to 100,000, that'd be. Because what is it, around 80-odd thousand? Look at what Liverpool are doing with Anfield. Remember, what was it? Weren't Hicks and Gillette going to move you to?
Yeah, they want to move us. Yeah,
plush new stadium. And then there was a rumor that it was going to be like the Inter AC thing at the San Siro, and that Everton were going to pay for half of it, and then it was just going to be a shared stadium for Liverpool, and it was just a mess.
Yeah, shambles. Yeah.
Yeah. But now that must be one positive of Fenway Sports Group, because they when they bought the Boston Red Sox, they saw Fenway Park, their stadium, needed an upgrade, and they were like, well, we're not leaving Fenway Park. It's just too historic for Boston.
Let me ask you this.
Go on.
Let me ask you this. The improvements, obviously, they've done the main stand, they're doing Anfield Road at the minute, and then they're probably going to do the Cop after that. Do you think that's their money they've put in?
No, absolutely not.
It's a loan. Yeah, like they've paid it, but then they're expecting the club to pay it back.
Yeah,
so they don't put a penny of their own money into it.
That is true.
The club's paying for it.
But they have seen that there is potential growth in the. At the end of the day, how big will once they do the Cop? Well, how big will it be? About 60,000, 70,000?
Well, probably about 70,000, because it's going to be, I think, after the Anfield Road's done, it's going to be like 61,000, I think. And then
get an extra 9, 10.
Yeah, 8, 9,000. Yeah, then it'd be like 70,000. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's quite nice for Liverpool. 70,000 screaming Scousers at Liverpool. Well, minus the away fans. So it won't be 70,000 unless it's Everton you play. Then it will be. But they'll probably be in League One at that point, or the National League, whichever one they prefer. Also, what is puzzling me is that even though Manchester United are up for sale, they've got losses of around £500 million. Is it they're still being linked with like Harry Kane? Where's this money coming from?
That's the question.
How can they afford their players? Surely, if I was a football club owner and saw a balance sheet that had the club £500 million in debt, I'd panic and go, he's for sale, 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 he's for sale. I'd just be selling everything to try and bring that down to zero.
Well, the thing is that clubs operate at a loss and they can still spend money.
That's true.
Because they'll define money. I mean, look how bloody Barcelona keep on spending money. How can they stay afloat when they're like, hundreds of millions of euros in debt or whatever? I think it's a billion. Is it a billion?
Yeah, half £1 billion or something like that. Or no, Chelsea are about 1 billion. Actually, no, they're not in debt anymore because they got they were about 1.3 billion in debt when Abramovich was the owner, but he waived.
Abramovich went, nah, it's all right, mate. I've got me.
Well, he's kind of forced to because they were like, well, you can have the billion, but it's not going to you because we've seized your bank account, so it'd be going to Ukraine. So he kind of had no choice there. That was the greatest thing the government ever did for Chelsea fans. So so you can't say the government don't support Chelsea because they absolutely bloody love them, because otherwise Chelsea would owe the government £1.2 billion. But no, that managed to be waived. So yeah, Manchester United, absolute. Who do you fear Manchester United getting bought out by the Qataris for what it would do to English football? We've already seen what it's done for Man City and Newcastle, but we've never seen them buy a football club on that scale. That was already. We've seen them buy smaller clubs and build them up. And no offence to Newcastle United and Manchester City, but you are smaller clubs. They've always bought smaller clubs and built them up. They've never bought the ready. They've bought a ready meal and shoved it in the microwave. They've never bought the full main course ready on the table. They've never bought that. How dangerous would Manchester United be with all that money?
Very.
Would you think under Eric Ten Hag they would immediately be challenging if they signed every player that he wanted? Would they immediately be going, Man City would finish second every season, Liverpool third, or maybe Arsenal third?
Maybe not immediately. But like quite quickly. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Let's end our discussion with Manchester United saying let's hope that we will have more news on it as it develops. But I'm annoyed at how much time Sky Sports dedicate to this Manchester United takeover, because every 5 minutes it is Manchester United, Manchester United, Manchester United, Manchester United.
And that's kind of funny and ironic because Man United fans think Sky don't like them. They're models all the time.
Absolutely. And yet pretty much every other news story is Manchester United. Bloody hilarious. And that was this week's Football Fan Show podcast with me, Danny Hedgen, and thank you to Callum Brown for joining me again. And next week we will be back with another episode of the podcast. You can watch it live, by the way, on twitch.tv/The Football Fan Show. Join us there. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got a video about Rushden and Diamonds and an update on Swindon Town Football Club as well. And next week on the show, we're definitely going to be talking about Brendan Rodgers. Sorry it wasn't in this episode. They sacked him 24 hours after we recorded it. So hard luck there, really. We'll chat about it next week. Until then, see ya.